Did it say 8 in the Japanese version?
No, it just. Oh, so they kept a village, so it's 8, but it's called Biohazard Village. The actual title. It's not called Biohazard 8 Village. But
That's
then I'm looking. It was called Biohazard 7. This is a Rambo situation all over again. Like you get First Blood, then you get First Blood 2, Rambo First Blood 2, and then they just went Rambo 3. I don't know if anyone calls First Blood Rambo 1. Same with Rocky. It goes Rocky 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Rocky Balboa. Like, why did you do that?
yeah.
And then the newest one was John Rambo. They're just like, oh, screw it. Naming conventions don't mean a thing. It doesn't matter anymore. They took it so far, though.
That's 20. That's the 20th century for everybody, or the 21st century for everybody. Welcome. Oh Jesus! Now I forgot what my intro was going to be. I had this special intro plan. Oh my gosh! No, I got this. I got this. Hello and welcome to Podcast Reload, your general gaming.
Hey.
Wait, that's the wrong podcast. Wait, that's the wrong podcast. No, welcome to the Coffee and Beer Cast. Wait, no, that's also the wrong podcast. Hold on, I think I got
Good
one
name,
more.
though.
3, 2, 1. Wait, no, that's also the wrong podcast. Evan, we've been on all 3 of these podcasts. These are 3 different intros for 3 different podcasts that we've been on, and we haven't even introed the one we're doing right now. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's a lot of podcasts.
That we've both
Too
done
many,
together.
some would say. I like how I'm angry at naming conventions and series, and then Vin and I went with 2 names for podcasts that didn't have video games in the title at all. So maybe I should shut up.
I guess so. But welcome to the actual podcast we're on. We're on Pixel Pints. Yes, this is fresh and this is weird. There's 2 of us. We've never had 2 on the podcast before, so it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Evan and I always have a good time, so this is gonna be fun for everybody. But
Yeah.
we are the only global gaming podcast, and we are global because we are coming from 2 ends of the world. That covers 2 things that we love, which is good beer and video games. I'm hosting today Mitch here in dark LA because it is nighttime here. And I am joined by my non-fellow Japan dweller, Evan Pietrowski. How are you doing?
Good, Mitch. How are you?
I'm good. I think I've decided when it was just going to be the 2 of us, I was like, I'm going to throw in all the retro stuff that we've done in past podcasts
Sure.
into this episode because it's
And we got through greetings in record timing, I think. That might be the quickest we've ever done this. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes. Not saying that that's a bad thing.
no. This might actually be the shortest podcast. This would be hilarious if this was the longest one we have ever done in regards to like everything else takes so long.
Yeah, we're trying to compensate for the lack of people on the episode. Skeleton crew working today. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, who knows? But how have you been? What have you been up to?
Playing Dead Cells today, and that's about it. Actually, this is what I was going to say. I was going to watch a movie, but then I decided not to. Like, wow, that is a really good story. I haven't really done anything today, but just relaxing and happy to do the podcast.
Oh,
How about you?
I'm good. I was like, I had to work in the morning, but then I was able to get off, and then I played some Resident Evil 8, which we'll talk about later, and then I went to go play some tennis tonight, so that was kind of nice. And then I got back here, played some more of it, and beat a boss. And right before we were gonna hop on and do this earlier, so I'm stoked. I'm excited because our main theme is Resident Evil, but we'll get to that later. We're gonna do a couple more things before that, but first, before we get to our just extra greedy and stuff, we are going to talk about. Oh no, I don't have the button set up. Uh-oh, I'm a bad host with running the TriCaster, not TriCaster, the OBS at the same time. We're going to talk about beers. I have one beer. Evan has none. That equals, which is funny. You know, we are the Wisconsin people. We should just call this the Wisconsin podcast.
Yeah, we should have. We should just talk about Wisconsin for an hour.
You know how much that would make McWomble so mad?
McWomble, hey, by the way, I got
Milwaukee.
My nice Milwaukee t-shirt on. Yeah, he'd love that too.
Is that like MTV basically, but just like Milwaukee instead?
Yeah, well, MKE is the code for the airport.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep. Oh, that's crazy. But it looks like an MTV t-shirt. If anyone doesn't know, Milwaukee is one of the biggest city. Well, actually, it's true. Wisconsin really doesn't have a city. Let's be honest. They're like big towns.
I think the population of Wisconsin is about 3 million, and the largest city in it is Milwaukee, but it's only 600,000 people.
Right.
I mean, that's a decent sized city, but no means big compared to.
I guess if people don't understand, it's like, so Houston, next to our state is Minnesota, and we have like Minneapolis. Now, I grew up in Eau Claire, which is like near the border of Minnesota and Wisconsin. And so for us, it was like a huge, like it was like going to Disneyland if you went to the Mall of America in Minnesota, which is like a 2.5-hour drive, maybe.
And for people that don't know, Mall of America might be the biggest mall in the States. Maybe that's changed. It used to be, but it's so big. There's a theme park in the middle of the mall. Complete with like a roller coaster and like log rides.
Yep.
It was always weird. The log ride, which has chlorine water, I believe,
it does.
Is right by the food court. So I remember eating food. I'm like, I can smell chlorine. Like this.
It's also next to the mini golf course.
Yeah.
So there's a mini golf course like right above it. And actually for people to like put into reference, like I know we have a lot of listeners outside the United States. So I used to work for a company where we would hire people from the European countries, including the UK. And one of the biggest things we would have them do when they would come to our location in Minnesota is we would have them take a trip to the Mall of America. And every time they come back, I always love talking to them to see their reactions to it. And all of them goes, I don't know how this needs to be that big, but that's just huge. Like their brains just like have exploded by how big this mall is. Like you cannot imagine how big this mall is until you have gone there. I think it's 5 floors. It's a mile to go around, I believe. It could be probably to go just around once around the entire thing from the outside. So think 5 floors and a mile long, and they're all covered in stores, like so many different stores. Anyway, enough about Wisconsin.
Sorry.
Well, that's fine. So I'm just gonna. I showed this off a couple weeks ago, this beer, but I still have more of it, so I'm just gonna drink it again. But this is that Pineapple Farm, the hazy IPA from California. So I really enjoyed it, and I just have one more left. So I was like, I'll just do it on the podcast. I think I did this one when it was my birthday. Few weeks
I remember
ago.
seeing the logo. Yeah, hazy IPAs are in vogue right now. There's a lot of them going around. It's not a bad thing. I do really like hazy IPAs. I had a really bad one the other day. A Japanese company hopping on the hazy IPA bandwagon, but such a half-assed job. Tasted terrible.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna do an Evan pour this time. They made fun of my pour last time because I was trying to do it in front of the camera while over my keyboard, and I was like, I'm terrified that I'm going to do something bad to my keyboard. So I was like,
it's fine. It'll settle. All head is beer.
Well, here's
better that way than trying to do the perfect pour. And there you go. Yeah, that's good. Well, that is hazy.
Yeah, it is hazy. It's really good.
What's the ABV on that?
See, that's the thing. I tried to look it up and I could not find it. I still can't find it.
It's not on the can?
It's not on the can. It is weird. I swear. I mean, I'll look again really quick just in case, but I swear I couldn't.
It's usually the the beer nerds at the breweries love putting all that stuff on cans, like IBUs and
Oh, here we go. I
ABV and
found
maybe
it. I
original
found it. It's
gravity
so
or final
tiny.
gravity.
It's so tiny. Okay. 6.8.
6.5?
Ooh, you were close.
6.8.
6.8. You were close. Good session.
Yeah, it's a proper sesh beer. I'm not drinking today because Uncle Evan had a few too many daddy sodas last night. I thought it was really creepy. But so
Ooh.
Kyoto Brewery started very, very small startup, very close to Nintendo actually. They started bottling beer not too long ago, and now they have cans out. And this is their Belgian double IPA, ABV 7.5%, titled, as you can see,
Mm-hmm.
Mario. This is the name of the
Oh.
beer is Mario. And actually, the artwork on here is by my wife's friend, who's a graphic designer.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, this is not mine. I drank mine. This is my wife's. If I cracked this right now, she would be pissed. But this is a really, really good Belgian double IPA. I believe it is, yeah, Belgian yeast and American hops. But I'll try to get this on the show. Hard to find because they don't produce a lot of they don't can a lot of stuff. But I'll try to do that on the show next week. But I decided, let me pick something up, even though I'm not drinking. Now, for some reason,
Are you trying to show me up, Evan? Because I've been bringing in the the Japanese.
yes, we finally switched. You're drinking beer, and I'm drinking like weird drinks, that non-alcoholic drinks. This is double lemon. Now, you would think this is called double W lemon, but in marketing in Japan,
Is it double
W
V?
means W just means double.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Like here, this is a double IPA. I don't know why, because everyone knows their ABCs here. They know that it's a W, but it's pronounced, if you ever see it on a can of something in Japan or a label, it's double. I don't know why. And
I
so this
love
is
how
a double
I
lemon.
love how they put double lemon in, like double lemon, and they spell double, and they put the W in it too.
It's a little much. I don't know if this is like a Resident Evil Village situation
So is it
where
a double double? Is it double double
that's what
lemon?
I'm saying. This might be the 8 in Village. It's on there, but it's no one recognizes it for some reason, or the company doesn't. I'm trying to find the name of it if it actually is double double lemon, but I can't find it. So apparently it has 2 lemons worth of lemon juice in it. That's why it's double. So this is a carbonated drink. The sourness your body demands is what it says on here. Get my little double double lemon tasting glass. Yeah, that's highly carbonated and pretty sour. Wow. And I'm drinking tea as well. All right, I think we squeezed enough lemonade out of that. So we can move on.
We got plenty of double double out of that. Now I'm thinking of In-N-Out Burger. Just getting
There you go.
getting them double doubles. That's what there was no In-N-Out Burger in my life until I moved here to Los Angeles. So if people have not experienced In-N-Out Burger, I know some people really hate it, but some people really really love it. Their sauce is just really good for me. So I'm a sucker for their sauce. So that's what I get it for. But
there are people with opinions on the hamburgers they like. You hear people are arguing about it on podcasts every now and then.
It's crazy. But in homage to old podcasts we've done, and also because it leads into our topic that Evan picked out for this week, we're going to talk about what we've been playing lately. But I'm going to let Evan go first because mine leads into the topic. So yours doesn't. So tell me, what have you been playing, Evan?
Well, since I have a PlayStation 4 and I...
Oh,
by the way,
raffle? How's your raffle going?
Nothing. And they used to be doing raffles weekly. I'm like, oh, okay, they're upping production or they got a hold of a bunch and they're spacing it out throughout the month. So in April, they had weekly raffles and then nothing in May. So I don't know. So my friend who hasn't purchased this console since PlayStation 3. He sat out PlayStation 4. He only plays Pro Evolution and maybe like a driving game. Like that's it. He'll buy a console for a single game. He's not a gamer. Um, I who was I talking with? Anyways, he posts a picture of a PlayStation 5. I'm like, wait a minute, that box is in his house. So he just walked into Yodobashi Camera, which is basically like a Best Buy. He has a Yodobashi credit card, and if you either signed up for a Yodobashi credit card or have one, they had limited stock of PlayStation 5.
Oh
So my
my
friend who
God.
like doesn't even play video games and is going to buy a single game, probably Pro Evolution 2021, and only play that, just walked in, bought a PlayStation 5, walked out, and then he's like texting me. He's like, "Oh, this Astros something or other is pretty fun." I'm like, oh, you don't deserve this. Give me that fucking console. I'm just kidding. But so I'm just trying to clear out my backlog because I don't have a PlayStation 5. Not like there's a lot to play in it. So I tackled Owlboy, which was disappointing. Great, beautiful pixel art. It's like a bunch of people who knew how to create beautiful pixel art, great animations, but didn't know how to actually tie that into good gameplay. Uh, so did that. Cuphead is amazing. Probably going to be top 2 or 3 of games of the year for me this year. And I got through those and decided to start Dead Cells. I asked around about it to some people because I'm not a roguelike guy. It's similar situation to me for with fighting games. I'm not motivated by simply getting better at the mechanics of a game. Like fighting games, like there's no story per se. You're not going from A to B. You're just going into or like battle royale, that type of thing. I can't be motivated simply by the mechanics of a game. And so I was worried about Dead Cells, but you can finish it. Like that's the main goal for me. It has to have an ending, and I have to see roll credits. And it does have a story, but yeah, I like it. It's kind of Metroidvania esque. The art is cool. The enemies are cool. The loot is interesting. The whole RNG aspect of roguelikes is annoying to me. Like, oh, I just have a bad run and I couldn't find like the equipment that I wanted. There's like one of your alternate weapons is this freeze dart, which is really good because if there's enemies above or below you, which you drop down and freeze them, and you can hack away at them without having to worry about them attack you right away. And yeah, I do like it. It's just annoying that when you get about an hour and a half into the run and you have like a ton of cells, which you buy stuff with, you can get permanent upgrades, which is important for me. I'm not just going to play a game where you have everything in one run and when you lose it, that's it, just start over. But at least there's something that I'm moving towards, is unlocking permanent upgrades and getting better in that regard. But dying an hour and a half in and then losing like 30 or 40 cells and having to go back through the sewers and then the second part and then the third part like you did every other run is, I don't know how to feel about it. Gameplay is good though. But after playing like Blasphemous and Cuphead, where like the controls are pixel perfect, everything you do is your fault in that game. These controls are slightly floaty. In a very like, if I hadn't played those games and then played this, I don't think I would have thought that. But it's hard not to compare them, and it's not as pixel perfect as I would like. But yeah, it's good. I need to beat it though. That's the thing. I know Erebus Jones is like, there's not enough time in the world. If you don't like a game, just move on to the next thing. But because it's a roguelike, I don't know how long it's going to take me to beat. So we'll see.
I
But
have,
yeah,
I have two
it's a
questions
good
for
game.
you because that's interesting. So, have you played any of the Souls games or
Yeah,
Bloodborne? Like comparable wise, like is
I've
it
beaten Bloodborne.
similar? Is it similar to you in regards to like it's
I
allowing that extra motive? Because I mean, it is like Bloodborne in the sense of, excuse me, there are things that are permanent, but then there are things. Then you do lose your soul. You lose your blood.
yeah,
Blood. Wow.
Echoes.
Thank you. Blood echoes. So it's like that. It seems like that is almost exactly like the same kind of game.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the only thing that's similar about it is the you lose your currency when you die. But in this case, like there's no chance to go back and get it, like in Hollow Knight, which would be a Metroidvania that shares a lot more ties with Bloodborne than
Okay. So
Dead
when you
Cells
lose them, you lose them. You
does.
can't get them back.
You can't get them back. Yeah.
Okay. So after playing this,
When
would
you
you
get
play
through
Returnal?
levels, I don't know. Like that game looks cool, but again, it's like you go for like an hour long run and then you die, and then you got to go through the same first the biome in the same order that you always do. Like I don't know about that type of gameplay. The thing that I like about this game is that it's basically like a Metroidvania, which is one of my favorite genres, if you can call it that. um, Style. Well, I guess it's just a 2D side scroller with like as you're moving kind of through these labyrinthine levels. It's not Metroidvania in the sense that you need power ups to unlock specific areas. Or actually, you kind of do. Well, whatever. Who cares what the genre is? But that's the reason that I like it so much. If it was another genre or another style, like a third person roguelike, I don't think I'd play it. That's
Okay.
not the roguelike aspect of it is not the interesting thing to me about it. The the look, the style, and the gameplay is probably the main thing. But yeah.
Okay.
Did you have another question, or is that it?
No, that was basically it for me. I mean, Dead Cells has kind of been on my radar. I just never pulled the trigger.
Do you like roguelikes?
See, that's the thing. I don't think I ever played one. Like, if I think
Mm,
about it, I don't. Roguelikes are so. They're just. I wouldn't say they're uncommon, but I just don't think there's any roguelike that's really broken into the mainstream enough for like a casual or even like a hardcore gamer will miss a genre or two when they're playing games because there's just so many games out there to play. And I feel like roguelikes have slipped me because also like they were coming out at a time when I as a kid was not able to make a conscious purchase decision to buy them. And I think Hades will probably be maybe the first one I'll ever try.
right. That's the other one that's on my radar because it just looks. I've heard too many good things about it to
Hmm.
ignore it. Yeah, I would say yeah. Like Hades got 2020 Game of the Year nods from
Right.
like across the board. However, I do agree with you that it is a slightly more niche genre of game. Yeah. So yeah, it really depends on if you like it. I pulled the trigger on Rogue Legacy years and years ago on the PlayStation 3, and that's a roguelike that you can beat. There is a final boss and you can roll credits. And that's why I played that game. And then I had heard that it's similar to Rogue Legacy, and that's the reason that I pulled the trigger on Dead Cells. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have.
I'm really
Yeah, I
curious
don't know.
because there's like I just don't in my and I feel like I know a lot about games. Like I look a lot of things up and I like play a
You
lot
play
of
a lot of different kinds of games, yeah,
yeah,
more than I do.
exactly. And so for me, it's like I'm just really curious, and if anybody listens to this show and wants to like let me know in the comments, because I'm generally, like genuinely interested in knowing this, of like list your like your top 5 favorite roguelikes, because I'm curious on what people would list because I can't even think of 5. That's how niche in my mind roguelikes are in the industry.
Yeah, well, you got I'm just Spelunky, Returnal, Dead Cells, Binding of Isaac is another one. Hades.
Yeah,
I
see,
don't know.
I got a
Yeah,
point.
I'm not seeking them out, so yeah,
That's
that's another
true.
reason why I don't know. But yeah, it's good. The gameplay is really really good. I wish it was just a Metroidvania though. If you're lost in a labyrinth and there's a start and a finish, and when you die you just are at a checkpoint instead. It would be a better game for me if it lost that. And there's tons of people out there would say absolutely not. It hangs on that it's a roguelike, and I don't know. It's just not necessarily the genre for me.
I
But yeah,
wonder
that's
if a
that's all I've
game
been.
could ever like make a setting where it was like where it could be it was like a setting you picked. You could either have it be a roguelike or you could have it be like the version you were talking about. And literally it's just a click of the button that it decides like if it's going
That
to
would be
self-generate
super
levels for
interesting.
you or
Yeah.
if it's someone that doesn't want to do it that way. I wonder how possible that is. Like if it's
I
really
mean, you could do
doable.
it, but they're basically making two games in one.
Are you really though? Like,
You have the same
I guess
assets, I
I guess the only
suppose.
thing is like you would just put it through a random generator when you are going through the roguelike version compared to the regular version where it's all predetermined.
Yeah, you'd have to put a lot of thought into the the straight A to B story side about the gear you're getting, how powerful you get when you level up, like all of that art, that stuff behind the curtain would have to be tweaked in a way
Or it'd
that
be interesting if
it
you like played one game straight through like just like you were mentioning where it was like set storyline, all that kind of stuff. And then like the new game plus was roguelike where you kept all your gear, but you would play through it again, except it would be a roguelike style with an ending, with like a second ending.
right.
Kind of like a near style.
Yeah. Another thing is that the game's length hangs on the fact that it's a roguelike. Because there's some of those, if you speed through those levels, you can get through um, tons of them in like a minute. Some
Yeah.
of the levels just take a minute. You could speed through, but
That's
you'd have to
crazy.
just redesign
All this work
a
these
level.
developers do, and you're like, I get done with it in a minute. And you're like,
Well, I mean, that's the reason like speed running, especially roguelikes, is a thing, right?
yeah. And even with
I'm
like Mario as well, like it's just
sure.
it's just like all that torture I've been through as a child, and someone just beats it in 2 minutes. I just feel so unaccomplished.
I died like 290 times in Cuphead, and then I went and I watched a speed run of it. The Mexican runner, who's like a streamer, he's like one of the best people at video games that I've ever seen. He actually did a Twitch stream that lasted like a year or two, where he beat every single Nintendo game that was officially released.
Wow.
And so I like, beat Cuphead by the skin of my teeth, and then I saw a speed run in like 28 minutes or something like that, like no hit. It's like, oh my god, I'm so bad at video games, or they're too good.
Yeah,
Either one.
I loved Cuphead when I was playing it too. It was
It's great.
It is just so imaginative and the controls are so good. And I even think the platforming, like I don't think I really needed it, but it was still nice to have.
Yeah, I listen to. I often after I play a game, I'll go back and listen to reviews of it, or like Shane and Matt talking about the game on Sifted. I tend to play things like a bit later than when they first come out, and a lot of people were down on the run and gun levels, but I thought they were fine. Like I liked them. It was a nice change of pace, and there's not that many of them, so it's not
Exactly.
like they got in the way.
And I think
But yeah.
in working through them too, they gave you the incentives to get those abilities to be able to add variety to your specialized Cuphead. I think that they did that really really well. Like you said, it's when you died, it was your fault. But you learn so much from each opponent. Like it's crazy. I just remember like I tried to play with a friend of mine and we ended up being too stressful that I just soloed
Oh
it
God,
on my
I can't
own.
imagine that.
I mean, well, the clever part they do with it is when you co-op it is if your teammate dies, you can run up to the player, jump up, and then you can do that spin move where if you like want to pop something, you
You
pop.
can parry the heart, right?
Yep.
To revive them. Yeah.
Yeah, you can parry their ghost that floats in the air, and that brings them back to life. But in conjunction, the enemy bosses have twice the amount of health, obviously, because you have two times the amount of people. So it can be
Right.
very stressful if you're down to one person. So
Okay, that's the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
They have more health if your friend dies too quickly and you're on your own.
yeah. So then you're on your own with them having double the amount of health, and it's like wow, it could be a real challenge. So, but I think the animation is just like that studio. I mean, I am excited to see what their next project will be. Like
DLC should be coming out this year or next. It got delayed. So that they're adding
That thing,
the Chalice
yeah.
Chalice girl or whatever her name is. Yeah.
But I mean, God, that DLC was supposed to come out like 2 years ago.
Oh,
To,
that game got delayed like 4 times, and then
I
the
know.
DLC got delayed like 3 or 4 times. I like still I kind of get it. I'm like, this looks like an insane amount of work,
Yeah,
but stop putting years or dates
that you
on
can't
this
make.
stuff. You guys know better. You know you're not going to finish it. Take your time.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I still have a video from my old YouTube channel where I covered like Cuphead and talking about how the DLC was coming, and that was over 2 years. That was 3 years ago. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. Um, so what I have been playing on my end, obviously, we got a giant release, which is Resident Evil 8. Sorry, Resident Evil Village. I'm sorry, I can't say the 8. The 8 is banned from the Resident Evil game.
You don't say the double, okay? The double double.
No, no double double in Resident Evil. Um, yeah, which is it's been good. I will say the beginning, it was just because of this one sequence. So it when playing this, you can definitely tell there. I'm still on the fringe. I'm not done with the game yet, so I'm still holding off like final thoughts, but this is just my thoughts so far. So people in the comments, this is not my final thoughts. I'll have final thoughts when I'm done with it. But at the moment, I'm still teetered on the side of, is this a ripoff of Resident Evil 4 in many different aspects that doesn't need to be there? Or are they there because it's making the game better? Which it kind of is, but then in some points I'm like, I don't know if I really need this to happen. So like an example, and I know how much you love spoilers, Evan, so I will make sure I will not spoil anything for you.
Yes, please. I beg you.
So I will just say in the beginning, how in the beginning of Resident Evil 4, look, you go into the village for the first time, like the big village, and you have that giant sequence where you're like mowing down like 30 villagers, just trying to like hold them off until that
Yeah.
bell rings that calls them away. Well, there's something similar that they,
That's not surprising. I figured that
yeah,
they would put that in the game.
but here's the thing. They do something similar, but here's the issue. When you get the initial pistol, and you played the demo, so you kind of can attest to this as well. The initial pistol against the werewolves is not effective if you don't upgrade it, which I didn't upgrade it, so I think that was my issue when I was running into the demo. And so the game already is telling you you have a severe disadvantage against these creatures. You should run because you don't have a lot of ammo, one. Two, your ammo's not really working on them, so your instinct would be to run away, right? So here I am, like running around trying to go, okay, where's the exit? Where's the exit I got to escape to? Because clearly I don't need to be taking on these people. I'm clearly not prepared to do so, and the game is saying you should run. Well, you can't run anywhere. And I kept going in circles. Like I was going through a door and it was like, oh, it's locked. Okay, I'll go this way. And I was like, oh wait, I've been here. Go through another way. And I was like, oh wait, I already been here. I was like, where do I need to go? And I ended up getting that frustration of, where in Resident Evil 4, you had that moment and you just had plenty of ammo. Like you were killing them, you were getting more ammo, so you're just holding your ground. And it wasn't
It
as
was
much. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was pretty clear like you need to be taking these people out.
Yeah, and
Is
because
so in this game it's not clear what they want you to do, to run or to fight?
yeah, and so
Like is this a timed thing where they're going to go away, or am I supposed to get to a door
right.
or a gate?
So then I
Okay.
ended up like figuring out, I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Did I miss an exit or something? That's where I ended up asking my question. And then I was getting beat up at the same time, and I didn't want to waste my bullets. And then I decided to shoot him just to see what happened. And then found out, yeah, you have to lose because then it triggers a cutscene. And I was like, really?
Okay.
I was like, if you're gonna do that, you need to telegraph to the player that you're going to lose. I guess they kind of did, but in the sense of saying that you should run, I think they should have just gave you a ton of ammo and just made you fight until you ran out of ammo, compared to
And you'd naturally just die at
Exactly.
that point, I guess.
Exactly. It's like because they gave you such low, not much ammo, and it takes so many shots to take them down, you naturally come to the conclusion you should run. So if I didn't have that natural conclusion, I wouldn't be as frustrated in that moment. So that was one where it's like copy paste. It could have worked, but it didn't because of how the systems work. Yeah, I mean, there's systems in this game like the killing of animals to get the food, to be able to like raise your health and stuff. It's not really much of a system. It literally is like you collect it, you give it to, you see all the recipes, and then you can contribute your food to one or multiple recipes so that you're not keeping the food in your inventory. Like it's the same systems as RE4 with the merchant, and it is a better action game. It is definitely more of an action game in this one compared to the last one, hands down. And I think once you become more powerful, it does incentivize actually killing the enemies rather than running away from the enemies. But there are some really good moments in this game, like genuine scares that I think they've nailed in the last two games. I just, it's just so close to RE4. I'm not sure yet. I'm just not sure.
Okay.
I am enjoying myself though. I think the gunplay is much better than what the demo was. And I think it works. I've been enjoying myself, so I'm definitely gonna finish it off for sure. I want to try to finish it tonight if I can. So as soon as we're done, I'm hopping right back on my PC and just going hard to beat it. I already ran into Miss Step on My Face lady, so she's. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything about what happened there. So, but yeah, I ran into her. Yeah. Made the acquaintance. Yeah, but it's I'm having a good time with it. I think it is better though story-wise than the seventh game, the last game. It's definitely better plot. It's much more interesting.
Is there more of it?
Yes. But here's the other thing though. But yeah, it's way more interesting plot-wise. There is a mystery, a good mystery happening, and I'm just not sure. And I think they did build upon the seventh game, the previously on that is on YouTube right now, or if you that Capcom posted that is in the game if you want to watch previously on Resident Evil 7 before you play 8, doesn't do it justice enough because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of elements in 7 that are going to roll over into 8 in regards to the plot. There's a lot of undertones.
There's something that happens in particular. I just got through 7 last week. There's something that happens in particular in 7 that, like, oh, okay, Ethan Winters has a child now, and they kidnapped the child for a reason.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, I just played 7, so yeah, that makes sense. I have a theory about why they kidnapped her for some like ritual or something like that. So yeah, I can see how it's tied to it.
Yeah, and
that's good. It's got the mystery though. I love a good mystery in a game.
I will say that for sure. The other weird thing though is so it is kind of semi-open world. You can explore the old areas you went to, and they kind of all interconnect for the most part. Not all the areas connect. Some of them are cut off as soon as you get to a certain section. But like the village itself is kind of interconnected. Actually, it is very similar to Resident Evil 4. Like Resident Evil 4, you could go back around into the village if you wanted to. You're just not supposed to. But here's the weird thing. They're like,
do you like that aspect? Is it a necessary aspect? Could they have gone away from that and just kind of?
I think it doesn't change my.
I
don't think it changes anything. In regards to like, I don't hate it. I don't love it. It for a game mechanic, it's working. It does incentivize because you get new items that you can go back to old areas and unlock some new things in those areas. So I guess it does work in that aspect if that's what it seems like that's what they were going for. But here's the weird thing. So people already know this. It's in the Game Informer. People have been talking about it all over the place. There's 4 bosses in this game. It's like 4 main bosses. And once you get to a certain point, they're like, oh yeah, you need to meet all 4 bosses. Here are where they located on your map. And the merchant's like, oh yeah, you can go visit them whenever you, so you can go visit them when you want.
What is this, Breath of the Wild?
But here's the thing. You don't get to visit them in any order you want. You have to visit them in a specific order because of the key they give you can only unlock one door until you meet that boss. Then you get to like expand upon that key that opens another door. So I was like, why did you say I could go to see anyone I want when I can only visit one specific one at a time that you predetermined for me? So it's just like logic like that sometimes just throws me off at a moment, being like, what? Because I was trying to go through other doors. I was like, I want to go see this person first, not this person. And I was like, I can't go through that door. Why can't I go through that door? They just said I could do that. I was like, logic sometimes in this game makes no sense. But
I mean, either you're maybe there's something that you're missing, or maybe not, and it's just they made a mistake in
yeah,
making you think you could do something that you can't.
yeah, I'm not sure.
They don't.
But I am excited.
I don't know.
I am excited you to play it because I would love to do a spoiler type talk with you about this game, because I will say there are some sequences in this game that are absolutely amazing in horror. I think that's one thing, and maybe it's because it's in the first person perspective, and maybe we can get into that about just the series in general if we want to. We can expand the overview. Basically, if you like Resident Evil, especially 7, you're gonna love 8. So go play 8 if you loved 7. I'm having a blast. I'm gonna keep playing. These are little not caveats that I have about the game. Like, this is the little pickings. Like right now, if I had to grade this, I'd be grading it like high 8, low 9 right now. So like, this is slim pickings on me being picky. But like, one thing they've nailed in the first person, maybe that's what it is. Like, it's just the tone of horror they can set is just so good. There is just one really good sequence in this game that had me spooked. Like, I was just nervous throughout the entire thing, and it's like the music was working really well. There's only one time where the music was really bad in this game, and it was the very beginning. Actually, you played it. It was the demo sequence with the girl when you try to save her because her papa turned into the thing, and she falls into the pit of fire, and they do this like crescendo of orchestrated music, and it's just really off. It just doesn't work there. But there's this one sequence in the game that is super spooky because of like the setting, what the type of creature you're fighting is, and where you are, the ambiance, the music. And I was just, even in the daytime, my heart was racing. I was like, oh my God, I am very scared to like look up, turn around. Like, I was looking.
That's good to know.
I was aiming my character downwards to turn around sometimes because I was like, I don't want to look up and go whoosh. Like, there was one really good scare. We'll talk about it another time too on some kind of spoiler talk. But there is one great scare. Usually I am like all catching on to like, oh, this is gonna be a jump scare. Oh, this is gonna be a jump scare. This one I did not expect, and it scared the living crap out of me. And I was like, good on that. Great job, fellas. So, any questions on the game? Well,
yeah, I was thinking about. This is kind of a semi-review, a Pixel Pints review. However, I'm afraid to know too much about it.
Yeah. I'll let you know if you're wearying. I'll stop you if you get too close to something you don't want to know.
What? Okay, so how did you feel about 7?
I didn't love 7. I didn't hate 7. You know, here's the thing about Resident Evil in general. I think it is one of the most adaptable franchises in the games industry. Like, this game, think about it. The first game is tank controls, survival horror,
pre-rendered backgrounds,
puzzles. And they went from that to when you go all the way up into like Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6, they become an action genre. And then all of a sudden you get to 7 and it's like first person not psychological horror, but like ambiance type horror. It's like the atmosphere, the people.
It's a very different game.
It's a very different game. And for me, I was like, it's not the worst Resident Evil. It just I felt like it was lacking some things that made it feel like a legit Resident Evil game. And I think maybe...
Does RE8 have these...
I think they do a better job.
Did it get its groove back?
I want it... I can't say that until I finish it. I really can't.
Sure.
I think... Yeah, I just... without knowing how the game ends... So far, I feel like they got the feel of RE4. So if that's what they're going for, they definitely captured it, which is not a bad thing. I just, because of these remakes that have came out, and I've just, oh my God, they've just been amazing. Like they've been really well done.
Big fan, right?
I'm a big fan of those remakes. And so for me, I believe they both can live in harmony together. I just, yeah, it's good. It's good.
Okay, then the last part I would say, which for a Resident Evil game, in terms of more like a slower paced Resident Evil game, more focused on horror versus an more action oriented game like 5 through 6, which kind of experience do you prefer more? Like a more action-oriented Resident Evil, or one that's a bit slower, like the police station in RE2 type of thing, or the village in RE4?
I think
what kind of
I think for me, it's not as much of that is like the element for me that like makes it or breaks it.
Okay.
Because I guess the one thing Resident Evil's always done well is they've catered to their story. So like RE5 and RE6 were extremely high action games because the story demanded it needed to be that way. Because 5, you have bioweapons going out into the world. And so obviously if that's going to happen, you're going to run into so many different kind of monsters, no matter where you go. And then 6 is like this giant world is like, people have so many viruses on their hands and they are just exposing it to the world. And of course it's going to be high action, high octane. So
it's like a season of 24, but with like the umbrella viruses being unleashed across the entire globe. It's
right.
Actually quite ridiculous.
So as long as the game mechanics work within it, I actually like both. And
sure.
Actually I would put 4 more in 5 and 6 than I would put 4 in like 1, 2, and 3 and that kind of stuff. Which I will say after, and now that this is a great question you brought up, because I think RE8 marries the two really well. I think it's a well balanced. Yeah. Like now thinking about it, I think it is really well balanced. There's been some sequences where my guns are taken away from me, and it is all about the ambiance, the slow, the figuring out of puzzles. And there are some moments where like you are facing against obviously monsters, beasts, and it is all action. So I think even they've done a better job than RE4, because I think RE4 is not a scary game.
It's not it's insanely cheesy.
Yeah, I mean RE4 is an action game in my mind. When I play it, I don't see it as a survival horror game. I see it as an action game in a horror setting. I see that for 5 and I see that for 6. This one I would actually call a survival horror game because they have those really well-made horror ambiance moments that make you terrified. Like for me, I was scared genuinely. And if that's the case, like an example, like RE2, both the original and the remake, what I loved about the remake was because what made RE2 scary at times was the camera. the camera's always stuck in that position. And so when you go into a new area in regards to like moving your character to the next screen where it'll flip, sometimes you don't know if there's a zombie right there until it flips. And then when it flips, the zombie's right in your face and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to break free? So I was like, how are they going to do this in the remake? And I think what they did so well with the zombie is because the zombie has that outreach move. And it's like, sometimes it's like a dance. You have to perfectly time it. It's either they're going to grab you and the tension is there of like, they're almost having you and grabbing you at that moment, or the tension is not there in regards to they missed and you're like, oh my God,
Right.
relief. So I think they did that without having the clear camera angles. So I would say it's a well balanced game. I think it's probably the best balance of action and horror so far that I've played from the RE franchise.
That's good to know. Yeah, in terms of the enemies closing distance like that, and being you always misjudge how far away they are from you. You're like, oh shit, and you're trying to reload.
Oh
And
yeah.
they did that with the molded as well in RE7. If you got a headshot on them, they would after the headshot they would lunge at you, and then all of a sudden, they're half a hallway away, like 2 meters, and all of a sudden they're right in your face, and
Oh,
you have
the
to turn
enemies do
around
that
and,
here
and
too.
retreat.
They do
Yeah.
that too, and but I think they do it. I think I like these enemies better than the molded.
The molding are actually kind of boring.
Yeah, I think one, the molded
They're
was
just not very visually interesting.
yeah, one, they were boring, but two, I think also as enemies, they didn't have good response to your shots. Where here the enemies still respond to your shots, so they'll like move their bodies based off like how you shot them, but
Yeah.
yet their momentum, like the zombies in RE2, are still forward. It's like they're still coming after you. So yeah, I think I think they do it. I think they do it really, really well.
That's good to know.
That was a great question because, to be honest, I didn't even think about it until now. Yeah, they marry the two so well. It's probably the best in the series in that regard.
I guess that kind of leads us into the topic of the show. More specifically, just a question about the Resident Evil series in general, where in the past couple years we've seen Resident Evil. Hold on, I need to pull this up. Kind of become a lot of things, and specifically we have. Damn it! Here we go. I guess it was, Resident Evil 1 through 3 was, like you were talking about, it was survival horror, the pre-rendered backgrounds, tank controls. They branched out with they had that light gun game, and
Oh
I
yeah,
guess
sorry.
Code Veronica.
Sorry. Don't forget Code Veronica on that. 1, 2, 3 Code Veronica.
That's right, 1, 2, 3 Code Veronica, yeah. And then basically 2005, when Resident Evil 4 came around, it completely changed what Resident Evil was and could be. Because up until that point, yeah, you had 4 games that were essentially the same style of game, and then RE4 became a action game, and so that's where it kind of diverged from survival horror to trying new things finally, and it arguably ramped up the action and the cheese way too much. So much so in Resident Evil 6 is that they had to completely redirect it all the way over to the other side, and make it focus more about the horror aspect of the series in Resident Evil 7. And then in between those games, you've had the Revelations games, which most specifically Resident Evil Revelations 2, where it's like an episodic game where each episode you play half as Claire Redfield with I forgot her name. It's co-op Mora, and then the other half of the
Moira.
episode you play Barry exploring
Which
the
is
island.
Moira as Barry's daughter.
Yeah, Moira. Yeah, Barry Burton.
Barry
What's his name?
Burton. Yep, Barry
Is it
Burton.
Burton? Okay. He's exploring the island 6 months after Claire and Moira had gotten there. I love that game, by the way. I think it is one of the most underrated of the series. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you want your Resident Evil 4, they've been doing that with the Revelations series. There's even a village type section in episode 2 of Resident Evil Revelations 2 that's really good, where this giant kind of mass of a person that's changing into some sort of disgusting creature is trying to get uh, inside a building, and you're, you know, putting bookshelves and stuff in front of the windows, and then it spills out into the village itself, and you're running up ladders and running around. And it's a really, really good action game in the same line as Resident Evil 4. By the way, if you like Resident Evil 4, you will like Resident Revelations 2. It is that good. So then they go with the main series. They completely change the formula with Resident Evil 7, and then they have their remakes, which are not as action oriented as the Revelation series or 4. And then you have Village. So it's just kind of an interesting situation where they've been actually quite smart about having their cake and eating it too. Because like if you want the more action oriented stuff, you have a kind of spin-off series for that. If you like, you know, like the new style of like Outlast or PT, these kind of first person horror games, they have that for you. And then if you're an old school Resident Evil person who hopefully doesn't think they should bring back tank controls and pre-rendered backgrounds, then you have Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 3. And I guess we did discuss some of this stuff, but I do like that they have so many options, and they've been, like Resident Evil 7 came out in 2017, and then 2019 Resident Evil 2 remake, 2020 Resident Evil 3 remake, 2021 Resident Evil Village. They've been really, really cranking them out. They've got them on the assembly line here, and out of these three branches, Mitch, that they have going on, like what we kind of discussed what we prefer in like action versus horror. Like, what line do you like the best out of these kind of three styles of Resident Evil games? What type of games would you like to see more of? I think I know your answer, but you can talk about it. So,
you can go first. You can
Evil.
go first. I talked about 8 for so long, so I want to know your answer first.
Okay. I don't have that much nostalgia for the old Resident Evil games. I played them with some friends. I'm more of a Silent Hill fan, even though like they haven't really made a good one of those in like a decade. But I'm in the camp of Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and 4, which a lot of people don't like, are all really, really good games. And then nothing great was ever made after that. Having played Resident Evil 7, I really, really like what they did there. I like how they slimmed it down and said, okay, we're going to do like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's a Resident Evil game, basically. We're going to put the horror back in survival horror and all that good stuff. Based on what you said about RE Village, I almost said 8. It makes me happy because I do like a more action-packed Resident Evil game. I did appreciate the horror in 7, but I get very anxious with games where I have to worry about ammo. So much so that RE7 took me a couple hours more time than it should have to beat, because if I missed like 3 shots in a row, or I got through an encounter and I felt like I wasted too much ammo, I would just reload the save. And I must have done that like 15 times in RE7 because I hate losing ammo. I'm always kind of too much so worried about getting into an altercation in a game where I don't have enough ammo, but it never happens. I save my stuff so much that at the end of games like The Last of Us or Dead Space, like I am completely stocked. So I don't know why I worry about these things.
Evan, I will say an 8, and I've ran in, and usually I'm very, very good with ammo conservation. Even though maybe my survival guide, as you pointed out to me when I made that, did not have ammo conservation when I said you could shoot him in the leg and walk away. And you're like, you just wasted 3 shots on trying to shoot his leg. And I was like, I know.
Yeah, you didn't kill him. Headshot or reload.
Or reload.
The game.
There were 2 moments so far in this game where I almost ran out of ammo and I was petrified because one was a special boss I did not expect to happen, and the other one was just actually the boss I beat before I hopped on to this podcast with you. I literally was down to a pipe bomb, and I was like, oh my God. And I knew he was like almost dead. And I was like, hopefully this like saves me because I'm out of ammo. Like besides that, I have no bullets left. And then I realized, oh yeah, there was a bunch of bullets over there. And I should have ran around the map a little bit more to collect more bullets before they cut off the areas when I was taking down the enemy. But the ammo
you ended up beating that boss with the pipe bomb.
Yeah, I did finish him off with the pipe bomb.
It makes for a good story.
It does.
And I get the idea of it because it's to add tension to the game. However, that is not an aspect of a game that I like.
Well, and you can craft ammo, and you can buy ammo from the merchant too. So there were so that one other time I almost ran out of ammo. Because I got so much treasure to be able to sell to the merchant, I was able to buy basically a bunch of ammo back for myself to be able to like be locked and loaded and feel comfortable, keep going. So I haven't ran into a moment where I've ran out of ammo in any of the Resident Evil games. So I don't think you'll run into that. I think it'll be like kind of a close call for you maybe, but I think you'll be comfortable.
Sure. That's good to know. And from kind of like the press stuff that I've seen where you're kind of running around, you're definitely firing off your shotgun way more than you ever would in RE7. And while I did appreciate RE7 for what it was, I do like that it's a bit more action based. I'm happy to have a balance of horror. Like if there's some parts where, just be careful of your ammo and try to conserve and that type of thing. I do like that. So yeah, I guess I would come down on anything that resembles Resident Evil 4 to me is the kind of Resident Evil game that I prefer. And I think that's where I definitely come down to it. And I like that they're trying new things. So even within this first person thing that they've been doing with these two games, they're different in a lot of ways. I like how it's not just another stuck in a mansion horror game with not a lot of weapons and you have someone following you the entire time. I like how they branched out and said like, yeah, let's do action, but let's also, the people that did like 7, we'll give them a bit of that in like the castle and the caverns and that type of thing. So I do like that they've done both with Village, and if Village isn't your thing, just wait for the Resident Evil 4 remake. So they have all their bases covered, really. So yeah, I guess the question I'll pose to you with your more action based, your first person, and your remake, which one of those roads would you prefer them, for Capcom with the series to go down and explore more? Having just, played Resident Evil Village.
If I was Capcom, I'd keep going with the current trend that they're on. So whatever with
just doing everything.
No, well, yeah, yeah. But I guess if you said focus on one, if I was Capcom, I would say focus on Resident Evil the last couple. So like the first person perspective. I think they have something really special there with the horror stuff that I think you don't get in the other ones. And this is what's great. It's like, yes, you can have your cake and eat it too. But with that too is like the cakes are all different flavors. And with those flavors comes different kinds of experiences. So like the strawberry tastes really good here. And like, ooh, this is more like the horror you get in 7 and 8 is not like the horror you get in 1 and 2 and 3. Or you get in Revelations.
Different flavors of horror.
It's a different flavor horror. So I would love these new ones better if I liked the character of Ethan Winters more, and I just don't like him. And
does anyone? Nobody. Capcom. I know you're not listening. Nobody cares about Ethan Winters.
Maybe it was the name. It's like who calls them? Like I think the name sucks too. I think the name is just not Ethan is a bad name. Anyone called Ethan out there, your name is great. I think it's just the combo of the two. It sounds like a very boring person. And maybe that's the point, but I think the story,
It's just like generic name generator type
yeah,
of
exactly.
name. Yeah.
That's what it comes off like, and I think they do nail in 8. What I do really like about 8, I know I thought we were done talking about it, but what I do really
I'm
like
sorry.
in
What
oh
is
sorry,
eight?
Village, sorry, Village,
Oh
where they're
oh
talking.
oh. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
sorry. What they did in Village, which I liked a lot, was I'm captivated by the story because it's not about Ethan Winters. Like it is about his daughter getting
Right.
taken, and like there's a mystery behind that. But like Ethan could be replaced with anyone else, and the story wouldn't matter in a sense.
Maybe that's what they want.
And maybe they knew
Like,
that like
oh,
Ethan wasn't a good character, and they heard those complaints and were like, okay, well, we're gonna still use him. So why don't we just like, make the story more interesting around him with not including him? So yeah, so that's that for him. I personally really like the remakes, and for me, obviously Resident Evil was one of the first games I ever played. I grew up on that franchise for a long time. There's multiple ones I grew up on. It's Resident Evil, it's Tomb Raider. Wow, why can't I think of the others off the top of my head? But I grew up with a lot of franchises. Dino Crisis. I grew up with a lot of different kinds of franchises. And for me, what Resident Evil does really well is it's like a puzzle. The whole game is a puzzle. You go into the police station and you need to find certain items that will unlock certain things that will get you the path to. Now, there's multiple ways you can solve this puzzle in regards to how you tackle it. But in the end, you need to solve the puzzle of the building to be able to access all the rooms. And I think that's what's interesting. And what I really think made the franchise, and why I think people regard 2 as probably the best one in the series, which I would agree with them wholeheartedly, is the second run. The second player playing on the same save file. So if people don't know, in the original, you have 2 characters you play. You play as Leon and you play as Claire. And you put one disc in. So you pick which one you want. You can pick Claire or Leon. Doesn't matter the order, because actually they're interchangeable. In regards to, there are 2 completely separate stories for each person depending on which disc you put in first. But anyways, you put in Leon's, you go through his, you go through the mansion, and then you put in Claire's. And the difference with Claire is she starts from a different place in the police station, which makes you have to solve these puzzles differently compared to when you did the first time. And again, it's like a puzzle. So it's almost like, and yes, you will complete the second run in a shorter amount of time because you know all the rooms, you know what pieces for the most part, there are some differences between characters, but for the most part, you know what puzzles you're going to need to be able to get into the different rooms. And I think that's what really works well with the series in regards to puzzles. And not only do they do puzzles with the rooms, they do puzzles within puzzles of like using a puzzle to solve a puzzle to actually get access to a room later. So I think that's what is interesting about the series in regards to like, you get into this place, there's a bunch of locked rooms, and you need to find a way to get everything opened up so you can get out. And I think that's compelling to
yeah.
solve. And then
Yeah,
obviously there's like
agree.
mechanics of shooting and stuff involved with that, but I think that's like the bread and butter of what Resident Evil is. But I get why they have to evolve, and I think they do a good job of doing that.
Yeah, it's actually interesting point about series, maybe more so some of the earlier games, is yeah, the next this the place that you get into, there's always a control room door that's locked or something that's missing, or you need to turn on the power, and then it's a puzzle, and then when you get past that door and then turn on the power and then another door opens, then you're in another puzzle, and it keeps progressing that way, and in a way, like shooting the zombies is almost like a secondary thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what's more important is going to each room and scavenging, like every drawer that you can to find hopefully a key to that puzzle. And I mean, look at it and how they deal with maps in the more recent games, where it's uh, a room will be highlighted in red if you haven't found everything in the room, and it'll turn blue when you have. So it's definitely focusing on like you need to explore these areas as carefully as possible, because that's how you're going to solve these puzzles. And there's a little bit of that in 7, and there's a little bit of that in RE4, but I would say there's more so in Resident Evil 2 remake. How about Resident Evil Village? There are a
Well,
lot of
yeah, and I
more
was
puzzles than
and
7. 7 was like,
yeah, piggyback off
okay,
you.
there's a snake door, find the snake key. That was about it.
It's like the most basic, and that's what I when 7 came out and I saw that, I was like, okay, at least they're kind of doing it, but
Yeah,
it's
I
not. But
appreciated they brought it back.
they brought it back, but I'm like, it's not really the same. Let's be honest, it's
It isn't.
extremely linear. This
Yeah.
one is extremely linear as well, but what I will say is the puzzles themselves are much better in this one, compared to 7. Now, if I compare the whole series, it's still not really up to par in regards to like puzzles themselves. I think they're just okay, to be honest. Like, it doesn't take a lot to solve them. Like, I haven't at least so far, I've not ran into a thumper that was like one that's like, okay, I don't know how to do this.
I'm fine with that. Like Silent Hill, especially 2, if you played on the harder difficulty, ran into the problem of some of those puzzles are so obscure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on, and you have to constantly go back between 2 rooms if you haven't written down. It'll be like a note that's a poem that's hinting at what
Mm-hmm.
is supposed to be. Yeah. And in Resident Evil 7, it's more like, oh, here's a clock in this room, and then there's a note that says the same time as on all the clocks in the house. And you're like,
Yep.
go out the door, and there's a clock right there. Oh, 10:15. Go back 10:15, and then like the bed opens up, and like that's as far as it really goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much more it needs to do. I
And
guess, I mean, Resident Evil is a lot of keys, isn't it? I did say that was only in 7, but it's always been like, the heart key, the club key, the spade key,
mm-hmm.
right? That was in 2 as well.
Yeah, I will say, I think I just would be really interested to see a take on trying to do a classic Resident Evil, but not as a remake. Like, I would like to see someone try to tackle it and see what it would look like. And if it doesn't work, hey, it doesn't work. But
Are you saying like everything old school camera angles and all of that stuff, or more just
like remake, like this
okay?
the Resident Evil 2 remake, but just in a similar sense of. And here's the thing, and I think Resident Evil 3 remake proved that it doesn't have to be a building. You don't have to like go into this one building and then be like, oh, it's a police station, that's the main thing. It's like, you can prove you can do this stuff outside. You can have it. And I think 3, it's short, and so obviously the zones are smaller, but I think they had a lot working in it. And I think the remake of 2 did a really good job of kind of doing the Bloodborne way in regards to the Soul-likes, where everything was interconnected, and like you figured out like secret pathways led to, like, this could lead back to the mansion, and this is another way.
Yeah.
It could
Oh,
go
this
back to the
ladder.
mansion. Oh,
Drop that down.
yeah.
Now I can easily get
yeah,
back to the mansion if I want to, or the
exactly.
police station.
So
Yeah.
I think there's a way you could still do it. I just would be interested to see it done. But to be honest, I actually, coming from where I was like, I really don't want Village. Like, my mindset coming into playing Village was like, I don't know if I really want this. Am I really going to enjoy it? And I was skeptical. Maybe that's the best word to use. I was very skeptical about Village, and just seeing like if this is going to change my mind about 7. It did not change my mind about 7, but it left me a lot more excited to play it and keep playing it. Will I play it a second time? That's the question I'm really curious about, because I could go through 2, 3 remake and speed run those things. And I think that's the other thing that's super special about it is the speed running of it. You know, mastering where things are located, mastering your inventory. And yes, inventory management, I think, is also a puzzle within a puzzle. And I think that's what's really important. And I know people don't like it, but what I think of it is I see it as another puzzle for the game itself. And, you know, like there's always like a system in my brain. It's like, I don't ever need to keep more than just one green herb in my inventory at all times, because I'm always going to find more health and I can just add it on and then bank it inside the storage container. So it's like all that kind of stuff. It's like you come up with your own strategy to be able to complete the entire process and master it. And I think that's also what is really compelling about the old games as well. It's because you can literally take the game and you can dominate it in every possible way, compared to the newer stuff. Because they're so linear, you have to rely on all these, like you have to rely on like just trying to speed through, get to the cutscene, compared to where it's like, it's this open map, go do your thing and zoom by it as fast as possible. And you're not really interrupted as much with these cutscenes that you have to run into, or these moments where I have to shoot, I have to die so I can trigger a cutscene, like that type of stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the whole grading system in those old school games is one reason why they became such popular speedrunning games, because if you finish the game in a short amount of time, you'd get a higher grade. What, from like,
you also get unlimited ammo for certain
S.
weapons. You get a rocket launcher you can use during your next run of the
love that
game.
stuff.
Like Mercenaries
more
mode
of that stuff
would give
in
you
games.
stuff. Yeah, it's
Like in Uncharted 2, during the game you'd get coins and stuff from doing various things, and at the end of the game you could finally spend them to play as Drake as like a skeleton with glowing eyes and get like the gold. And then in Uncharted 3 they totally got rid of that. I'm like, wow, I don't feel like playing this game a second time around, because there's no other, I'm done. There's no carrot on the end of that stick anymore. And I loved the reason I played through RE4 so many times was to get the night costume for Ashley, the tuxedo for
also
Leon, and the rocket launcher.
Also, she could shoot Ashley without her dying.
Yeah. And she was too heavy for the Ganados to pick up,
Yep.
which I thought was a very, very clever thing, because she's in this giant suit of armor.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that stuff too.
And what also was super fun about it was like you could like, it's always fun doing that second run with an unlimited machine gun or an unlimited rocket launcher. It's just like you just clear the room easily, and it's just like, I did all this work to earn this reward, to be the baddest ass in the room and just nail everybody to the wall.
Right, and that's the important part, is you felt like you earned it, and you did, and you got through the horror aspect of it and the tension of the ammo conservation. And now a game that wasn't necessarily like an RE4, like a pure action game, becomes an action game because you can just let loose and finally have fun, and you're not worried about what's behind that corner because you have a giant rocket launcher or an AK with unlimited ammo. Yeah, they do a good job with that. I wish they would do that in the new games, if as a way to motivate people to replay it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't recall if the review said you could do that in 8. I mean, sorry, Village.
Did they have anything in 7? Like an infinite?
Not to mind.
See, yeah, that's the
actually,
thing.
they did offer. Now, I don't know if it was done because of a speed run or if I got it because it was a pre-order bonus, but I did get that that Albert Wesker, that Albert gun, that you get to shoot the boss at the end of the game. You get it at the beginning, and you can use it throughout the entire game. So
it doesn't have unlimited ammo, though, right?
It does.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh man.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe it doesn't.
If it does, see, here's the thing. I got it in my inventory after you beat the game. If you do a new game plus or start the game again, it'll be in your inventory when you start. That's the thing. If it had unlimited ammo,
I don't think it does, actually. Now I'm thinking about it.
See, that sucks. I would totally replay that game and just keep downing the bakers. It'd just be
But
fun.
I
You wouldn't
will
have to worry
say
about
that
it anymore.
Albert takes the mold guys out in 2 shots if you shoot them in the
Yeah, that's
head.
cool. And
Um,
like you said, at that point you earn it because you've already completed the game. Like, let me have a bit of fun.
and for me, for
Give me a
Village,
cheat code.
like leading up to Village, I did want to play 7 again just to remind myself because again, I didn't really play it a second time when I first played it because it wasn't. I didn't feel like I needed to play it, which also is a sad thing about a Resident Evil game. It's like I don't need to play it again. It's like that's very non Resident Evil. Like Resident Evil, you want to play it again. So I did play it again and used that weapon throughout my entire playthrough, and it made it a lot easier for the entire game, even though like I did have to like pay attention to ammo.
Mm. Yeah, I wonder if
It's basically just like
Village has that.
just like a stronger pistol. That's all it is. Like it's not as strong as your shotgun, which is unfortunate. You'd think it would be like the Magnum strength, but it's not.
Well, I guess whatever the case may be for Resident Evil going forward, Capcom has been doing
Killing
an
it.
amazing job with the series in the past couple years, and they're turning these games out.
It's the
Uh,
RE Renaissance, man. Like
it really is. RE
I was
Renaissance.
shocked to like remember that we've had 3 RE games in a row every single year. That's crazy.
Yeah. After six was so bad that they all sat down. They're like, "All right, we need to correct this.
Okay, 6 was
This
not
can't.
that
We need to
bad.
change our turn our life around." Oh, I hate that game.
Okay, 6 is I would say the worst game in the franchise. However, it is a very good action game. And what I will
It's a
say,
competent
well,
gunplay. It has competent gunplay. I'll say
and
that.
what I will say is the Mercenaries co-op play in Resident Evil 6 is amazing to play with a friend. It's really fun because you
I
can
can see
like
that being fun. Not my thing, but
I used to play it like for hours with a friend of mine in college. Like that's what we would do. He would dress up as what he would call sexy Helena because Helena was in a scandalous outfit, and then I would play as like Leon or somebody else. And we would just it was just so much fun. And I think what made it really fun was the because of the way you can shoot the enemy and then do like a super move on them to to sumo wrestle them or like jump up and down and flip.
body slam them.
Yeah,
Their heads
basically.
would explode. It's so ridiculous. It's
Exactly.
fun. I mean, for mercenaries, like I get it. That's fun.
The campaign was okay.
The Leon Kennedy campaign is the closest to a decent part of that game as anything. The rest of it,
I actually disliked the Leon one most.
oh my, the cover system in the Chris Redfield one, it's the worst cover system I have ever experienced. Like,
Yeah.
how can it be this bad? It's worse than Kill Switch, which was the game that first used the cover system.
Yeah.
That's what Cliff Blazinski based the Gears cover system on, was Kill Switch.
Well, I mean, they
And
did use it in RE4 first, which it was bad there too.
it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's like it had been a solid problem at that point.
Well,
I'm
and
like,
it came up so
aren't
last minute.
This has been figured out.
Like it was used in
Yeah.
like 2 scenes in the entire RE4 game. I'm like, you didn't
Just
even
don't
need
put it
this.
in.
Just don't put it in.
Yeah.
I feel like as if they were like wanting to put like a lot more scenes and they just cut it. They like, oh, we can't do this.
It's as if they tried to design a game in the wrong engine. It's like it's not going to work. But for some, like, push the button and he hides. Like, why is this so difficult? I don't understand.
Well, something that does shock me though to think about it is RE4 came out for the PS2. Like that's how when I think
Yeah,
about
2005.
you think
Originally
about
on the
it.
GameCube.
Yeah, you think about it. It's like, oh my god, like that kind of game was able to run on the PS2. That's pretty awesome.
Looks great. This is the first game that did the over the right hand shoulder, and move the guy over a little to the left instead of having him smack dab in the middle of the screen for shooters. It was like when I first saw that game, I played at my friend's house when I was at university. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Move him over a little bit. This is great. Like, why do I want to see his head taking up all that real estate on my screen? I guess final notes on this. So since the more action-packed Resident Evil is my thing, and that's why I like Revelations 2 so much, because it reminds me of RE4. The even the thought of having an RE4 remake. Well, we got into that conversation a couple episodes ago. Like, do they need to remake the Last of Us 1? Absolutely not. I think RE4 is archaic enough with the stop and shoot stuff that I do think that it not necessary. No remake is necessary, but I can't wait for that game. I really hope that that's true
Well,
because it'd be
after the way
perfect.
they handled the zombies in RE2 remake, I am extremely excited to see what they do with RE4, because RE2 is walk and shoot, and the zombies are extremely intimidating. And like one zombie felt like it could kill you once again. Like that's how dangerous they were. So imagine how they would like do the villagers. Like that will be, and especially think about it, it's got to be on next gen hardware. So like I know they could only put so many zombies on a screen
Yeah.
in the RE2 remake and the RE3 remake, because the zombies had so many polygons, had so much mechanics to them in regards to like if you shot them on the shoulder, like they had to do the shoulder roll, and like they said so much detail went into a single zombie that they could only put so many zombies in the on screen at the same time.
Oh,
Think
is
about,
this like from like a dev interview or something?
yeah, and so think about
Okay.
it, like when you look at it as like if you can get that kind of detail in a villager, and then because it's next gen hardware, you could put more of them on the screen. Wow, that could be amazing. That could be something really good, really really good. Like I think is one thing we can truly agree on is RE4 remake could be one of the most anticipated games of the year when it gets shown, if it shows the way RE2 remake has
Oh,
shown.
yeah, for a lot of people, for sure. And, lots of people that maybe necessarily haven't played the other games are not interested in the more horror um, focused games. Even like RE2 remake, that game's pretty spooky sometimes, especially because you spend half the fucking game in the dark with a flashlight. It's just slightly annoying, but I get it. And turning the corner and seeing a liquor on the ceiling is pretty frightening. Um,
And like they played
Forgot
with
where I
your
was going with this.
expectation where you're like, oh yeah, that liquor's gonna be in that same hallway, and then it's not, and then it just
Yeah, yeah.
appears in the most like random place you didn't expect, and you're like, oh my god. So it's
You
really good.
you think in the RE4 remake that there's going to be a QTE where you're mashing the shoulder buttons to run away from like a ridiculously like Indiana Jones sized boulder?
Whew, about the QTEs, I don't know. That's a tricky one. Um,
Yeah,
I
like I
will.
I just don't
I don't know
see
if they'll do shoulder buttons. I think there will be QTEs in this one.
you, like is Leon going to be walking in the castle and then a knight tries to hit him with an axe and he does a backflip? It's like
Yep.
so ridiculous.
Sherry gets gets stabbed.
Oh yeah, was it Ashley,
Oh,
right?
sorry, not Sherry. Yeah, Ashley. Actually, okay. I'm not a not a pervert, even though she says that. I'm curious on what her words will say when you try to look up her skirt, and she will. I wonder what if she'll be just as cheesy with the "oh you pervert" type dialogue, or if she will try something else to say. Or
I wouldn't be surprised if they redesigned her character and to give her like a different outfit and then have all these people complaining, oh, she doesn't have the skirt. I can't look up her skirt when she climbs the ladder. We'll see.
I'm just laughing because it's like I can imagine her being like going really hard on the M is for mature, being like you mother beeper. Like it's just like her being a badass. But I guess it will be, you know what, we get a sneak peek of that though, because Resident Evil, I mean it's the 25th anniversary, I think it's 25th, yeah, 25th anniversary of Resident Evil this year, and we get the Resident Evil movie. Not two movies actually. We get the live action movie, and then we get the movie on Netflix that's a CG movie, which stars Leon Kennedy and starts Claire Redfield and Ashley is in this one too because it takes place in the White House. So we might get
her dad's the president in that.
So we might get a sneak
that's
peek
right.
of what she could look like in the game from that character model because the voice actors are the ones from the remakes. So they might recast her.
Okay.
So we might get a sneak
Interesting.
peek of her look / like her personality of what they might put into the remake.
She just wears the same outfit. It's like The Simpsons. She just never changes. She's still got it's like
The
75
sweater.
degrees out. Yeah, just the like the polo sweater, like just like tied. Hanging
in the
like,
short skirt and everything.
In the short skirt, yeah. Or winter as well.
And then
Ashley,
they like break the what was it, the fourth wall, and they're like, "You never change out of that outfit, do you?" It's just like,
yeah.
It's been 20 years and you never changed out of that outfit.
She doesn't get. She's like, "What do you mean?"
What do you mean?
Like, never mind. And then she says something like, "Leon, you never changed that bowl cut you're rocking since 1995. I think that comes first."
That would be great. Well, this was fun. This was very old school. I like it.
Lots to be excited about.
Yeah,
in Resident Evil.
We should try to pick a time where the guys can't come on more often.
Yeah. We don't need them. We don't need anybody. I need you, by the way. I can't handle OBS.
Well, I need you as well because I can't do this by myself. and you are always good to help keep me in the zone in conversation, or else I just go off the walls and just here or there. So I appreciate it.
I think that's fine with this kind of thing as well. Final thing, I'm really, really happy that I did play RE7 because now I'm way more excited to play RE8. Like, that was a game that I envisioned playing a couple years from now. I mean, it took me 4 years to play 7, but now that I've played 7, I am definitely looking forward to playing 8.
Yeah,
Maybe
you will
we'll
have
do
a fun. You'll have fun with
sometime.
8 for sure. If you liked 7, you are going to love 8, and I think, I actually would not be shocked by the end of this if RE8 would make make my top 5 favorite Resident Evil games. Like if it keeps going in the direction it's going, I think it might make it.
You'll have to give us an update on the next episode, just in the beginning, to see where you finally fall.
I think
I do want to play it this year. I do want to play it this year, but I do want to play it on the PlayStation 5. So what I'm thinking about doing is going over to my friend's house and taking that PlayStation 5 that he doesn't deserve. I'm true gamers. I deserve it. So that's my plan for the rest of my Sunday. I got time. I got good 5 hours before I'm going to go to sleep. So
perfect. And that's our show. So if this is Pixel Pints, we are Pixel Pints. There's usually more than 2 of us. So in the future, you can look forward to many different kinds of people from many different kinds of places around the globe. But if you want to follow us on Twitter, we are at pixel_pints, and we are on Instagram at pixelpintspod. If you want to check this out live, we are always live on Twitch at twitch.tv/pixelpints. And if you follow our Twitter, you will see when we go live. You also can check out the archive there, or we do archive everything on YouTube. If you just search Pixel Pints, it'll be right there on your YouTube search, or any podcast service you listen to across the globe. So anywhere you listen to your podcast, we are located on there. Just search for Pixel Pints and you will find us. I am so happy that I got to spend some time with Evan, do the Wisconsin podcast. It was great. We got some Wisconsin in there while we did some other stuff. So
I should have worn my Wisconsin t-shirt. I didn't plan ahead.
That's okay.
I guess Milwaukee counts.
And Evan, I get to cheer because Aaron Rodgers may not play a game for the Green Bay Packers ever again. So I will take the win.
The NFC North
could change.
By that I mean everyone but the Packers
from one man.
all those Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago fans are just they are like anything, praying to any and every god. They're waiting for the day that Rodgers leaves this team, and it might come sooner than at least.
Isn't that crazy that one person determines a potential, like the possibility of an entire division of sports?
Yeah,
That's
that's why
just
he's the MVP.
that's crazy. That's
I mean, it's the
crazy.
quarterback, right? It's
Most
one of the
important.
most important
We're about
player on the
to,
team.
exactly.
Is well, I mean, look at the Packers. Like they could go from perennial playoff team, NFC championship team to like third place. You know, who fucking knows without him? So we'll see.
Yeah, and was it someone told me like you could never win a Super Bowl with a guy named Lovey. So if that's the case, because the Bears had a coach named Lovey Smith, I don't think you can win a Super Bowl with a guy named Love. And on that note,
So if you have LOV in your name, it's like screwed.
yeah,
Never.
you're not going to be successful in anything, unfortunately.
Oh man, that was a double lemon. I'll give it that. Wow.
Guess how much time we actually did for our podcast today.
Hour 20.
Yeah, pretty much. We did a whole podcast without them.